Hey, so this is it. You are on to week one, and this week is all about where do you make money in your business? And it sounds like quite a stupidly simple question, but believe you me, it is amazing, and it always is astounding to us how often when customers come onto Construction Profit System, they're analysing themselves maybe per cost report. So the projects are being analysed and the MD or the commercial director or the owner is sitting down, is looking at what is his profit line per contract, but he cannot see the wood from the trees. He's not looking at it in terms of client type, sector type, project team, and you know, the challenge with that is you're not seeing trends, because there are always trends in areas where you make superior profits in your business. So this week we're going to ask one fundamental question: where do you make money? And just reflect on that for a second. I mean, I'm sure you've looked at really exceptionally profitable projects that you've done in the past, and you've tried to leverage that experience and go on and tender other work, and it hasn't multiplied, it hasn't been as successful. Well, the reason our success leaves clues, generally what we find, if you've been in business for a long period of time, when we get the data which you're going to put into the sheet that we provide you with this week's work, and we're going to analyze it and send it back to you, there are sectors where you make above average profit, and generally exceptionally above average. If you're a general contractor, it's less so, but if you're in civil engineering, mechanical, electrical consulting space, it's often profound, it's often a multiple. So let's say your business makes on average 4% GP. What we do is we segment all of your turnover into sectors and start to analyze it per sector, and the more or the further we can go in terms of the analysis of that in terms of sectors, the more profound the insights and the information is. Because we have, for example, we had a customer recently who came to us and his business hadn't been profitable for years, and he was really at his wit's end trying to understand how could he improve profit in his business. So we put it into our planning model: where does he make money? And the reality is this business had lost in excess of $3 million each year for 3 or 4 years. Luckily it was backed up by a large corporation, otherwise it could simply not have survived. And what we noticed was 15% of what this company did delivered 97% of the margin that that company earned. 15%. And I'm going to come back to that in a second, right? 40% of what they did made almost no contribution, so it made just above 0% margin. So it wasn't loss making, but it wasn't contributing to the head office overheads, which incidentally were running at about 5%, because this was quite a large, quite a complex business. But the reality is the balance of the 35% was performing terribly, wildly below average. In fact, it was hemorrhaging money. And interestingly, when we looked at the data over a 7-year period, certain sectors that that business had worked in, that it thought was core to what it did, in fact it almost was that business's identity, it had never made money, ever in that period for which the data was available. So what we did is we analysed and looked at it and said, what would that business look like if we got rid of the terrible work? We just stopped doing that. We shut down their training shop and we shut down their fab shop, and we basically just focused on looking at the profitable work, and that business would have gone from a loss of 4 to 5 million to a profit of 3 to 4 million, just by stopping what it was losing money on, just by having a clear focus. And then I asked the management team, I said, how much of your time do you spend focusing on the business that is above average, and how much time do you spend growing that business? And when they reflected on it, the answer was actually none, because their time was spent dealing with the terrible work, the work that was delivering absolutely no bottom line margin or contribution. So if you're an existing business, get as much of the data as you can and get it to Daniel, and we're going to help you analyze that, and then I'm going to get on a call and I'm going to help you interpret this data. But what if you're just starting out? We often get clients that are just starting out, and it doesn't matter what niche you are in. I just want you to go through this training. And next week when we get into the 80-20 thinking, you're going to carry this sense of perspective with you about where is it that you make money. But rarely, if you've started up your own business, have you never worked anywhere before. So if you worked for a previous company before, start looking at trends that they had. Start looking at what projects in what sectors delivered exceptional profitability for you in the past, or for the business that you work for. So if you're a new business, it isn't an impediment to this. This is just as important for you to get super dialed in and start thinking in terms of sectors, in terms of clients, rather than just the project costings. And be very clear and always highly conscious. And when we get to week 8 and we start looking at our CRM, we are constantly looking at this data to see where do you make exceptional and above average profitability in your business, so that you can leverage that. You want more of that. You want, okay margin if it's providing a contribution to overhead. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it. ideally in week 7, when we look at the 10 pillars of profit, we want you to get that margin up, and we can show you absolutely tangible, practical things that you can do immediately to raise that margin. But the stuff that's terrible, you got to look at ways of exiting it, either dramatically improving your service delivery so you make money on that, or if it's just a dog is a dog, you've got to exit. So this week 1 is all about answering the question of where do you make money in your business. It's going to be the cornerstone of the thinking that's going to drive all of the strategic planning over the next 8 weeks of Construction Profits. So that's it. Once you've watched the training, gather your data, put it into the Excel spreadsheet, get it back to my team, and they'll analyze it, and we'll hop on a call and help you interpret it so you can make some really smart decisions moving forward of how you're going to grow your business.